Ms. Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This proposal was forwarded to the Council without recommendations by the Rules and Operations Committee on July 23rd of this year. This proposal, like the remaining ordinances on your agenda tonight, is a proposal to place a charter amendment before the voters at the November 2007 general election. The adoption of a charter amendment ordinance requires the affirmative vote of 5 members. These ordinances are not subject to the veto power of the executive. Ordinance 2007-65S proposes an amendment to Section 4.10 of the Charter to change the implementation date for instant runoff voting from July 2008 to July 2010.
Okay. Any questions by members of the council? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against proposed ordinance 2007-65S, please step forward and state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. Welcome.
Hi, Richard Anderson Conley. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the council. As a longtime proponent of ranked choice voting or instant runoff voting, I feel badly about the amount of confusion that has been generated about this. Some of the problem, I think, came from the language itself. Could have been perhaps some better editing. Some, I think, came out of the blue ribbon panel. And I apologize if any of my correspondence led to some confusion as well on this issue. In any event, I want to make 2 brief comments about this and about the other 3, I guess. The first comment is that I think there is no good legal or technological reason for delay. And I think a charter amendment is not really the right way. This is a technical issue. The voters have expressed a more general preference for a different way of voting. And I think that a body like this, via ordinance, can look into these issues. If you send it to the people, it's going to create the impression that there is something wrong, that maybe the people who know something about it think that it can't be done. And I think it really can be done. The auditor has said that she can do it. And we should remember that San Francisco only had 6 months to prepare for their first one, and they did it without any major glitch. The second point, quickly, is that I think every one of these things, except for the minor party independent ballot access, can be done via ordinance and probably ought to be done via ordinance. And I think perhaps one of the better lines in the amendment was that the county council may adopt additional regulations consistent with this subsection. Most of what I see that you're trying to do via amendments can really be done via ordinance. I would say that if you still think that some of this must be done via amendment, I think that the one proposed by Councilmember Farrell is probably the best. I don't think it's a good idea to lock in 3 for all time, and I don't think it's a good idea to put a deadline when we're going to have full rankings. It could be quite costly to get there. And I also think that strategically, if you send 4 to the voters, they're probably going to reject all 4, right? And you're going to lose the good as well, because the voters are going to, I think, maybe be suspicious of something. So I would urge just doing the minor party one via amendment and try and do everything else via ordinance. And I think that legally you're fine. It's built right into the charter that something like this might happen. So thank you for your time, and good luck with your deliberations.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson Connolly. Yes, ma'am.
Liz Kernitz-Thurlow, President of the League of Women Voters of Tacoma-Pierce County. I've been at the last 2 Rules Committee meetings where I mentioned that all the people saying that some of this could be done by ordinance, by council action rather than by taking it to the voters seemed like an okay idea. But that is not my decision. That is your decision, and I know you're all thinking about it. Speaking to this one only, the League has not taken a position on this, despite our strong support for ranked choice voting. Implementation was to be in 2008, and we do hope that date will be kept, unless the 2008 implementation would mean that it was done badly. If the auditor's office feels that ranked choice voting can be successfully implemented in 2008, then it should be, and no change should be made. The auditor has stated that she thinks the change is unnecessary. If the auditor's office felt that successful implementation could not happen until 2010, and that was the way to make RCV successful, then a delay would be allowable. But if they think that they can do it, and we, the community and the council and the elections office, are all committed to helping and making it work, then it would be lovely if no change were made. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kernitz-Thurlow. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Kelly Haughton. I'm from Gig Harbor. as pointed out earlier, the Director of Elections from the City of San Francisco came out and spoke to the Blue Ribbon Review panel on ranked choice voting, and one of his comments was, gee, aren't you guys lucky you've got 2 years to implement? We only had 6 months. The auditor has put in place, and the elections department has put in place a plan which they believe will allow them to successfully implement ranked choice voting in 2008. I urge you to vote no on this because I don't think it is really necessary because we will be ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haughton. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mary Schmidtke, Auditor's Office. Auditor Pat McCarthy was on her way, so I'm not quite sure what happened to her. Hopefully she's okay. One thing that we wanted to bring forward, not to reiterate what's already been said, but if in fact this particular ordinance moves forward to the voters, what we would also in the Auditor's Office, our whole intent originally was to clarify under Section 4.10 under the procedures, Item 2, which just defines a little bit better how this whole mechanism is going to work. And we got that language in 2007-68S, which is also before you in another couple of ordinances. If 2007-65S is going to move forward to the voters, what the Auditor's Office is requesting is that the same language that is in 2007-68S, just in Section 4.10, Elections Procedure, Item 2, that be moved over as well. Because that's what we were always trying to get, and that is the procedures that could be done by council ordinance or could be moved to the voters at your choice.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, members. In 2006. I thought that was on purpose. Oh, well, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Randy Boss from Gig Harbor. I'm here to speak vehemently against 2007-65S. The people of Pierce County have already spoken. The Charter Amendment Committee met for 6 months. They reviewed this issue extensively. I was not in favor of IRV. However, I am in favor of listening to the voters of Pierce County. The voters of Pierce County in 2006 came before had the option to vote yes or no on this issue, and they voted yes. And in that, they implemented the 2008 date, and it is the responsibility of the council and the Pierce County auditor to comply with the wish of the people, to come back to them at a later date now and say, gee, excuse me, but we can't do this. And you haven't even said you can't do it. I think the ordinance says that conducting a hand count for each county office subject to instant runoff voting election would be costly, time-consuming, and compromise the integrity and validity of the election. Costly, time-consuming, I'm sorry, the voters voted yes. They said do it, and the auditor should be able to provide you with a plan on how she's going to do that. 2008 was plenty of time to do it. As you've heard today, San Francisco had 6 months. We've got a year and a half. So vehemently against changing and making the voters think that there's something wrong with IRB, as was said before, by bringing this back to them again and delaying it till 2010 is simply not a good idea. There are some technical changes. I agree with the other speakers that those should be taken care of with ordinance, but I'll address those at a later time. Thank you.